Hello and welcome to the agenda. I am Ajay Kaul. Today we will discuss about comments made by some foreign celebrities and American parliamentarians over farmers' protest in India. The ongoing farmers' protest in India is now finding international echo. From foreign celebrities to American parliamentarians, critical comments are being made on the issue. The Indian government says the comments are neither accurate nor responsible. Are these comments made by some foreign celebrities and American parliaments just off the cuff, or there is more to it? We will analyze this in the agenda today. We have with us retired diplomat Ambassador Deepak Vora and Mr. Jitendra Kumar Oja, who is an expert on geopolitical matters. But before we begin our conversation, let's have a look at this small report.
Some foreign celebrities and American parliamentarians have stirred the hornet's nest by posting tweets critical of the Modi government in relation to the farmers' protest. They have raised questions over the government's handling of the farmers' agitation and made suggestive comments regarding the Indian democracy. This has angered the government, and the External Affairs Ministry issued a detailed statement highlighting how strong the democratic institutions in India are and how the government has been engaging farmers in talks in a bid to resolve the differences. The External Affairs Ministry asserted that the comments made by the foreigners were neither accurate nor responsible. The MEA statement was retweeted by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, emphasizing his stamp on the reaction. Home Minister Amit Shah went a step further by suggesting that the comments by the foreign celebrities were just propaganda to which India will not yield. Minister of State for Finance Anurag Thakur said there was an agenda to stop India's progress. Significantly, to counter these foreign celebrities, a host of Indian celebrities including Bollywood stars, sports stars and singing icon Lata Mangeshkar tweeted to emphasize the need for the nation to stand united against any efforts to divide. Opposition political parties said that the government was overreacting as they emphasized that the Indian democracy was not so fragile that it could be affected by some tweets. The MEA today again said any protest must be seen in context of India's polity and ongoing efforts of government and farmers groups concerned to resolve the impasse. Bureau Report.
Now let's welcome our guests, Ambassador Vora and Mr. Oja. Welcome to the program, sir. So I'll go to
Thank you very much, sir.
Ambassador Vora first. You must have read comments which have of course created a huge uproar or about Rihanna and other celebrities making some comments and American lawmakers also making some comments. So how do you see those comments first?
Well, first of all, just say that I'm delighted and honored to be on your show as always, to learn from you, Mr. Kaul.
Always pleasure,
and
sir.
I see that you have a brilliant mind, my colleague Mr. Oja, whom I respect a great deal. Well, I begin, sir, by saying that I'm not on Twitter, I'm not on Facebook, I'm not on Instagram. I stay as far away as possible from social media. I'd like to begin by quoting the world's probably most respected survey of global trust. It's called the Edelman Trust Barometer. And the January 2021 report says something very interesting, that without a trusted leadership source to look to, people don't know where or who to get reliable information from. They describe this as a global infodemic and say that trust in all news sources around the world is low. The lowest is social media. 35%, 1 out of 3 people trust what they hear, see or read in the social media. Now, this being the case, since there is a rising tide of misinformation and mistrust, naturally anything what this lady, whatever her name is, this singer in the United States, whatever she tweets, she obviously has no understanding. So I'm reminded of a little story when I in the US. In fact, when I was there very recently, not about this lady, but about someone else who tweeted on some subject and they said, what does this person know about this issue? And then they said, well, this person was once asked, where does milk come from? The answer was from the grocery store at the end of the street. I mean, when you have people with that level of knowledge, that level of intellect, societal leaders, whether Congress people in the US, whether in India, anywhere in the world, I believe you must act with facts and with full empathy. You must have the courage to provide straight talk. You must empathize with and address
Ambassador Vora,
fears. So let me complete this. So
please.
Commenting on a subject that this Rihanna woman or these congressmen know next to nothing about, this reflects their lack of personal integrity and limited moral compass. I do not believe there is a conspiracy. Sir, you will recall how much the social media was active during the time of the demonetization. It was on fire. Today, nobody talks about it because they know it has been a tremendous blessing towards a less cash society. I remember again, there was so much of talk about CEA, about Article 370, CAA, and so on. Today, again, people have begun to understand that the situation in Jammu and Kashmir is stabilizing because that article was taken away. So, sir, human memory is notoriously frail.
You are right.
Therefore, as far as this woman is concerned and these congressmen, I would say, confine them to the dustbin of history, which is where they will go. They don't understand anything. It's very easy to shoot off a tweet. You remember a character called Donald Trump, sir?
Right. I know
he
what
used to tweet at all times of day or night.
I know what you are saying, but at the same time, I want to point out the celebrity Rihanna has millions of followers, and when she tweets, lakhs of people retweet or like. I mean, it spreads like that. So whether she is...
Do you want 1 million people on yours? We'll get you a company that has a bot which will generate 300 million.
Whether she is ill-informed or informed, she has spread this message. So I'll go to Mr. Oja. Mr. Oja, do you think, as Ambassador pointed out, that she may not have any knowledge about what's happening, but she tweeted. So is it like, could it be like she was fed by somebody or prodded by somebody or some people to do this?
Very likely. I must also thank you, Ajay-ji. Ambassador Vora is someone whom I always look up to. He was already a mid-ranking diplomat and a role model for me when I joined service. So he's someone whom I always hold in very high esteem. Honor to be here, sir, with you. I will entirely endorse this position because, you see, in United States, there are multiple kinds of lobbies which keep on working, and they are not very properly regulated. Remember a case of Ghulam Nabi Fai.
Right.
Ghulam Nabi Fai was not kicked out because he did something of what he was doing, but he has simply not informed the concerned entity. In this era where there's a lot of misinformation going on, there are entities for all kinds of rumor, all kinds of misinformation, and these people have had, as the Ambassador pointed out, absolutely no knowledge what it is. What is it all about? I think we should have completely ignored it. These do not deserve any attention at all. Having said that, I would say, yes, our government is trying to take some tough decisions, and whenever you take tough decisions, there would be resistances from certain quarters. But what is the best way to sort out these resistances is our own domestic issues. If there's a discussion, I would certainly tell about that. But as far as these tweets are concerned, I think these don't deserve anything. I entirely agree with him that these need to be consigned to the dustbin of history. I don't think, as the largest democracy in the world, we should even bother to take notice of something like this. Even regarding US Congress, etc., we need to be very careful about this lobbying business which is going on. You see, what happens, as I said, this sector is not regulated very properly. We have two hostile. China has often been talked of in years. How they've managed to hoodwink sections of even local American society. They managed to put sections of even media and others. And Pakistanis also, we know that their GDP may be very small, but kind of fund they are having to build fund, underhand fund, etc. And
they are investing these funds for anti-India propaganda and things like this. It's very natural that, public is being fed wrong information about India. But having said that, I would also say that domestically, we need to tackle our issues much more composed and calm way. We have been ignoring far too many issues pertaining to governance reform, which I think a decisive government with so much of popularity and mandate, they could have gone ahead with that. So that is a separate issue, but I don't pay any attention at all to what U.S. congressman or this woman has to say.
Okay, Ambassador Vora.
Come in, Mr. Call. May I just add?
Yeah, I'm coming to you.
I have been witness to this, so have you, so has Mr. Oja.
Right.
In the second and third weeks of January of this year, 2021, in true dystopian fashion, the Taliban had an active Twitter account, but the sitting president of the United States did not. What kind of social media are we talking about? Who are we serving? Who are we listening to? What kind of an obscene joke is this? You might hate Donald Trump, but the president of the US was silenced while Taliban and terrorist groups were having a field day. Miss Rehana, I don't know who she sympathizes with, but good luck to her, whatever she does.
Ambassador, you are right that it's a joke, but I think it's a very serious joke because it has a lot of damage potential. When we talk about Rihanna tweeting or Greta tweeting and critical remarks, I mean, a sentiment is created internationally about India. A view is created. I can quote you, I just read a economic intelligence unit, there is some kind of survey which has kind of downgraded India in terms of democracy recently. So there is that damage potential is there. We cannot just dismiss it like that. What do you say?
Nobody has any difficulty with agreeing with what you... Of course, we all like to be liked. I don't know anybody who says, I'd love the world to hate me.
Right.
We all love it. No, we all want to be appreciated. More than anything else, sir, despite all the criticism, I've seen this right through, sir, from the time of the Soviet Union, the two superpowers. Nobody really had a nice word to say about the Soviet Union in the Western world. The Soviet Union couldn't care less. Nobody says anything good about Xi Ping Pong, whatever his name is, but Ping Pong doesn't care less. The important thing is, sir, to stay on the path that you have chosen, that you believe is the best for your nation. After all, let me put it to you like this. You like Narendra Bhai Modi, you don't like him. The fact is, he's the constitutionally mandated Prime Minister of India.
Right.
He has been chosen by the Prime Minister, by the people of India. And if he is the chief executive of this country, then let people express themselves in whatever way they want, but give him the benefit of the doubt that whatever he's doing, he thinks it's best for the country. We elected him. That people get the governments they deserve. Well, we've got the person that India deserves, that India wants. Why should anybody get upset about this? This is really something that is so ridiculous that you shouldn't be wasting time on this, quite honestly, sir.
It's not about getting upset. It's about, as I mentioned, that image is distorted or damaged internationally, and it can have trickle down effect on maybe investments. I'm talking about business.
Let me put it across to you then, sir. You have seen the latest figures. In 2020, this is the year of the Chinese virus, $57 billion of FDI into India, more than in China, and a 13 or 14% increase over the previous year. What are we talking about? Capital is a coward, capital is greedy. Capital will go where it can multiply, and capital will go where it feels safe. And India is the ultimate destination.
Right. So, Mr. Oja, I'll come to you.
Rihanna is not investing in India. I hope she isn't. Although Mr. Oja would be very happy if she did.
So, Mr. Oja, if we talk about Home Minister Amit Shah says that it's a propaganda. And today I was talking to Anurag Thakur, Minister of State for Finance. He says there is kind of agenda to maybe damage India's potential. So could there be our kind of friends, so-called friends, Pakistan, actively involved, getting activated and getting lobbies active? What do you say?
No, we have to be aware of the larger ecosystem in which we are living. And in that larger ecosystem, these two entities are there who will be very much against us. Even in America, until 9/11, there were certain people, especially civil society, etc., they were extremely ambivalent towards us, or rather they were respectful towards our democracy. But still, the national security establishment, for certain reasons, was always promoting Pakistan and even the idea of radicalism. And this has been going on ever since we got independence. They were more driven by the British agenda of great game of containing Soviet Russia. Of course, US had their rivalries. So this continued till 9/11, one can say. little before that, some changes has started. So we have to be conscious of this, that there are even now certain elements whose knowledge about India is very limited, number one. Number two, we have these two-spirited entities who are very powerful. They have their own subversive ways of acting. It's not that there would be malicious intent on part of it. They are just gullible. They just are not aware, and they have just fallen prey to this agenda. But having said that, on one issue, I differ. Geopolitics is my area. I've been studying that. But I have gone to larger national security and communication and governance, and I would say that it doesn't serve our interests. We have to do what we want to do and whatever is in the best interest of the country. Of course, Prime Minister Modi, he represented India's aspiration for change, India's rather expectation to transform itself. So he came riding that kind of popular mandate. But nevertheless, I feel that, something of this nature, whether farmers' agitation or whatever these agitation or lockdown or where internet has to be curtailed or where a lot of reliance has to be on policing, these need to be avoided. These need to be handled tactfully. These need to be handled in a manner where there's minimum use of force, because in any case, these are our nationals. I have said earlier also that wherever our nationals are involved, even if wherever human life is involved, life of every Indian is precious, and state is like benefactor, protector of this thing, and that way we have to be empathetic. I don't think we have to look towards look outside. That is not an issue. We have to look inward. We have to see that whosoever are mischievous elements, whosoever are malicious elements, we need to have strong governance and security capacity to segregate them. And whosoever are misguided people or whatever people, but even if their emotions are misplaced, these need to be addressed, Ajayji. I don't think Rihanna, etc., we should be wasting time on our national channel. Unfortunately, we have a larger than size this Bollywood business. I do not entirely endorse them. I think this is a symptom of larger problem. They have nothing else to do, so they are competing with Rihanna, etc. Let them compete. Sensible people like Diplomat, Vora, or senior and sincere journalists like you, we should not get into this. We should avoid this thing. We should rather focus on hardcore issues pertaining to national security, governance, and even well-being of our people rather than Rihanna and all this thing.
So do you think, as you mentioned about the handling of this issue, so do you think, like you mentioned about internet and maybe how it was dealt with, so was it not dealt with properly? What do you say?
No, we are living in a very different era. In this era, we are facing a lot of crises. Democracy is reaching a kind of dead end or imminent collapse. This I'm not saying now. 3 years back, I've written that we need to find solution, and India has to carry on major innovations to handle these kind of issues. Because internet has come, it has come as weapon. It has become both a source of providing information as well as disinformation, and disinformation arises more out of ignorance and anxiety. So people should not be speaking on issues about which they have very little knowledge. So this is extremely dangerous. Of course, all said and done, this can result in some kind of, as you say, negative propaganda for the country, negative image it can build for us. But as the ambassador also pointed it out, we need to be firm and strong. Ultimately, what matters is your power, and for power, I would say, we have to be internally very cohesive. That is the issue. If you are internally cohesive, if credibility of government is so strong that 99% citizens are able to get convinced by that, if we are so cohesive that we can identify small mischievous elements and somehow deflect these issues, somehow contain these issues, so I'm sure outsiders will not get an opportunity to talk about us. Real issue is terrorism perpetrated by Taliban. Real issue is drug trade carried out by Pakistan. Real issue is opaque authoritarianism in China, where 2 million people have just disappeared, including very senior people in Communist Party. But nobody is talking about. We should not worry about getting certificate from anyone, Ajayji. I believe our focus has to be on building strong governance capacity, and that's it.
Are you in any way trying to suggest that we have too much of democracy?
I'm not saying we have too much of democracy. Never. We are here evolving democracy, and this democracy is here not because of any largesse by Britain or America or anyone. We are democratic because of our own values and ethos. We have to evolve our democracy to come to a level where freedom of speech and expression is used in our own original traditions of Vad and Samvad, and not Western tradition that you start cursing and abusing everybody else. That's a much larger subject. We will have discussion sometime later.
Right. Ambassador Vora, as you heard Mr. Oja, and he kind of said that we are overreacting, and some opposition leaders leaders also said today that MEA should not have reacted to tweets by somebody. So, as a diplomat, what do you say? Should the MEA have reacted, issued a statement? What do you say?
Well, so let me just put it across. The first thing is, if you can, I don't know whether you can read what my sweatshirt says. It says limited edition. So this is not a reflection on me. It's a reflection on India, which is that not too many countries are like India. Yeah, amazing. We encourage debate, discussion, etc. As far as MEA is concerned, putting the record straight is the responsibility of every government, and you cannot abnegate that responsibility. It's not that we are going to spend sleepless nights and every day we'll be firing off tweets saying Rihanna has been bribed by this, or she's got a boyfriend who belongs to this nationality, or whatever. We're not going to waste our time. All we are going to say is this was unwarranted, uncalled for. And please note, sir, our language is very, very moderate. Then that kid who somebody gave her a Nobel Prize because any number of companies running around in the United States, they say, I'm told, I was there for 4 months recently, they say we'll take 90% of the prize money, we'll ensure you get it and you stay with the other 10%. This kind of nonsense goes on. They've commercialized everything in the world today. Right. But I would simply say that we have responded extremely well with maturity. The world will take notice of it. And let me assure you, sir, in a week's time, both Rihanna, her tweets, and whoever else has tweeted will go back to doing what they do best. She to singing, and that kid, that Nobel Prize-winning kid, to crying that the environment is being devastated, etc. Let them go and do that. They are brilliant in doing that stuff. They shouldn't get involved in things they know nothing about.
So there are some Americans also, like Ilham Omar. She has brought in the women angle in the farmers' protest. How do you see that? That women are being disempowered.
Sir, I'm happy to invite him to India. We have some excellent psychiatrists here. One of them can do a study of the fellow's brain. What kind of rubbish? Please ignore it, sir. Don't even dignify this with a response. This kind of nonsense. Absolutely, it doesn't deserve an answer.
But talking about, Ambassador, talking about the larger picture about the lobbyists acting in foreign shores, particularly USA, Canada, Britain, and all. So, is India doing enough to maybe tap them, or maybe to counter the narrative?
Your question, sir.
Yeah.
Let me answer your question. You can spend trillions of dollars on lobbying. Some countries do. What is the end result? Sir, you are familiar with the latest comment that has come out of the Joe Biden White House as far as India is concerned. You have seen what he's said about India's budget, about India's financial system. This is far more important to me than what one discredited or half a dozen discredited Congress people say. The leader of the free world, the President of the United States, is telling us, not that we need certificates from anybody, as Mr. Oja said. Right. He is saying, I agree with what you are doing. Carry on, boys. Thank you very much, Mr. President, for saying this. We intended to carry on whether you agree or disagree. So I would say, sir, if some people are trying to orchestrate anti-India propaganda, it doesn't have any impact on the people who make the decision. But it only gives some anti-Indian fellows a chance to laugh and while they're enjoying their scotch in the evening, say, देखो हमने क्या कर दिया? अरे कुछ नहीं किया, आपने पैसा खर्च किया है, lobbyists आपका पैसा ले गए. India is where it is. Its relationship with the United States is blooming, it's blossoming, it's burgeoning. It will continue that.
Okay, we have to close. Last question to Mr. Oja. So, do you agree that there could be agenda behind all this?
Your program is the agenda.
Yes.
Yeah, that is why.
Otherwise, without such agenda, your program agenda would not run. Naturally, as I said,
but I can tell you that we have positive agenda. We don't have negative agenda. So
yes.
agendas differ.
So for people who are involved, who are trying to exploit lobbying, etc., they have certain agenda. Look, they have to protect themselves, especially Pakistani ruling clique to protect their massive crime empire. They have to protect. Even the Chinese have to do it. So they have to deflect. And India is a very transparent country. All said and done, the number of protests which keep on happening in China, nobody knows about it. The number of protests in rural areas of China, there's crushing poverty outside these metropolitan big cities, and nobody talks about it. We are a transparent
because
country.
They don't allow that.
They won't allow.
Yeah.
Yes, so that's why. And we should not be, of course, I agree with the Ambassador that something comes moderately, you just put the record straight. But beyond that, we have to focus on governance, and that's it. And we have to be aware of the fact that these are forces who are having this thing. And I would say strategically we have to think and act and destroy their capacity to waste our time like this. We should not get involved in something tactical. Okay, you are doing lobbying and I'm doing lobbying, and some lobbyists become very rich. They make money at the cost of people in our country. That is not our agenda.
Right.
We don't have
Right.
anything.
Very
We
right.
have to focus only on government.
Mr. Kaul, you said, do we have too much of democracy? If we do, there is a cure for that. Even more democracy.
Okay. So we need more democracy and more liberalization. Thank you. But thank you both of you for participating in this debate today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oja. Thank you, Mr. Kaul.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
This is all in the agenda today. Thanks for watching. I'll be back with another important topic tomorrow. Till then, goodbye.